There we go. All right. Hello, hello, ladies, and welcome back to another Midlife Mojo Monday. I know you see the time, so you know today's one of those 2 p.m. ish hours. I've been on time the past couple of weeks, so you know I was due for an ish hour. But as usual, there was definitely some tech issues. My guest had this whole presentation prepared that was so wonderful to share with you on screen, and I just couldn't make it work. So she's rolling with the punches because that's what us midlife ladies do, and we're making this interview style. And then I'm going to share her presentation for all of you ladies later, that I definitely want to make sure that you watch because she worked hard on it. And it's a fantastic presentation that I personally would like to hear too, because I was looking forward to that. But definitely, we've got some great information today. So, as you know, for those of you who are brand new to the Midlife Mojo group, every Monday I do go live here at this 2 p.m. Eastern Time ish hour just to share either some kind of education, or I do a demonstration, or I bring on a special guest, something that I just feel can help all midlife women just thrive as we navigate these midlife years and beyond. And so I'm very excited to bring on my guest this week. It kind of fit the theme loosely, as I always say. So every Sunday, I release a theme of the week. And this week's theme is do more in less time. And so, as midlife women, we have no time to waste in creating the life of our dreams, right? So many of us are in this state of flux flow, right? Our kids have left. We're just not really knowing where to kind of go or do with ourselves and how to start our future. So, I have a very special guest today who is going to kind of open your eyes a little bit about how you can really navigate, and create this future that you want. So, I'm going to first read her bio and then I'm going to bring her on. Let me here. There we go. All right. So I am excited to introduce Ariana Rollins. Ariana has been a certified cybernetics transposition facilitator since 2005. Basically, she told me that means she's an expert teacher helping people clear blocks from their unconscious minds so they move forward and are successful in their intentions. She's also a business coach and an intuitive life strategist who works with self-aware entrepreneurs who want to build businesses based on their higher values to impact the world in a positive way. Ariana is passionate about freeing people from self-doubt, lack of confidence, and anything that's holding them back from manifesting their intentions. Freedom is one of her highest values. I agree with that one. Her corporate experience as an international project manager working in Europe gave her great experience, but she discovered she didn't really like the pressure put on people. So she went back and got her psychology degree and now combines her background in project management and her passion for transformational psychology to get people unstuck. So I am excited for you all to meet Ariana. Let's bring her on. There we go.
Hi, Joe.
Wonderful. Thank you. Thank you so much for being here today. And thank you for going with the flow. And I know my ladies are going to learn a lot from you. And just by reading your bio, you definitely have a lot of things in there just to kind of dissect a little bit, maybe before we get into the topic, especially about your background. So you said that you kind of help clear people block minds from the unconscious mind, right? So what made you to even decide to get into that initially? To do with your become a certified transpositional facilitator.
Yeah, well, thank you for inviting me, and I'm happy to be here. Well, it was 2002, and I just got divorced, and I said I would never be a single mother, and I found myself a single mother. So I needed to find something I could do so I could continue homeschooling my son. He was only, 7 at the time. And a friend of mine gave me a book, and the title of the book was How to Get Lots of Money for Anything Fast. Book title was obnoxious, Jill.
Right. Yeah.
So I didn't read it. He called me almost every single day for 3 months. Did you read it? Did you read it? And finally I said, okay, Rob, I'm just going to read it. All right. So I read the book, and it was in one weekend, beginning to the end. And I was glued. Because what I read in that book was, this is how I can come back to myself. This is how I can create an identity as an entrepreneur, as a single mother, and recover all the lost parts of myself that happen in relationships that aren't loving and harmonious. So I read the book, and then I took a training, and I cajoled the author of the book, teach me how to do this. I want to do this for other people. And so it took him a couple years to relent and finally he created a training for me to be licensed and certified. And it was over 800 hours of
Wow.
intense study, more than any of the degrees that I took. But what happened is that I found a personal development tool, kind of like a Swiss Army knife. So if someone wants to make changes, whether it's attracting their perfect for them client, or they want to shed weight, or they want to feel like more self-love and self-care, they can use these tools because they're all based on what do we want? What's the future we want to create? And then only do we clear the blockages in the unconscious mind that are getting in the way. And this goes beyond NLP, it goes beyond the Sedona method, it goes
Yeah.
beyond any kind of process that I have tried, because it puts it in the hands of the person. Once they learn some of these tools, they can clear any resistance and they're buoyant and uplifted. Whether they think, oh, it's, my husband's creating this like irritation in me.
Right.
And once we step back, we realize we're the master of our own internal state and we can shift it quite quickly.
Wow. I love that. And I know a lot of ladies, right, in our midlife years, we definitely are in this kind of unsettled time. So, what would be like a typical person that you would, with somebody coming to you for this, where would they be in their life? Especially someone, in their 40s, 50s, 60s, a lady in a lady here in this group. Like, what kind of person would come to you? What would they be looking for? Just kind of that kind of idea.
Well, some their children have left home, and they're a huge sense of who they are as a person, and a loving parent is like, who am I now? I don't even know what I want to do. Sometimes people are growing their own business and they want to create that identity of a successful, self-aware entrepreneur, or that, their husband is now either retired, or like because of what happened with the virus, they're working from home and they don't have any quiet space. They don't have like their own space to be with their flow. And maybe there's a significant health, diagnosis, and they're stuck and a bit frozen, and they want to do things naturally. And I know that's one of the things we've got in common,
Yeah.
Jill, is that I don't guide them what to take, but I can guide them how to create and hold on to that vision of optimal health. Because that's it, is whatever we focus on is what we're feeding. It's where we are putting our energy to manifest. Or maybe, they're just tired of just being constricted, because of the lockdown. And it's just they're noticing their resilience is depleted. They just, not one more thing, I just can't take it, kind of thing. So just giving them the coping tools so they can start to step in and manifest a future that inspires them, because it's where we put our energy is where we are going to create outcomes. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's so true. I mean, when you say what you focus on, you get more of, right? And so
Yeah.
when you can make that focused energy where you want to go, as opposed to maybe looking back or just living in your crazy moments. Absolutely. So we
Yeah.
titled this Navigating Change, right? So what does change mean to you? Like, what does that word even just mean to you?
Well, as many people at this age, we've gone through shocks, we've gone through change, and how have we handled it? Just the most recent one was the week before last. I live in Austin, Texas,
Yeah.
and Texas was frozen. And I remember it was 2 a.m. on Sunday night, and I heard the electricity go out, and it was 8 degrees outside. And I felt this panic rise in me. It's like, now, how do I handle this? I've never been in this situation before. And as I eventually fell back to sleep, I woke up in the morning and my unconscious mind was giving me a to do, like get the little power pack to charge your phone. And it was like boom, 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 really fast to prepare. So when I got up, I was in action. And then it was saying, get the firewood, because I live by a huge nature preserve. There's a lot of dead wood,
Mhm.
and do it now, right? Because the snow was coming. So I was really in action, and I was not in the fear, the frozen kind of contraction. And I learned so much, and I'm so much stronger as a result of that. And that's the thing, Joe, it happens is when we go through something shocking, a divorce, a death, our child leaves home, a health diagnosis, or, electricity and water get shut off. We're not prepared for that. And so we need to tap into that inner reservoir, like, okay, what do I do to successfully handle this? And not that I was like all buoyant and bubbly the whole time, but I did notice that there was a competency and a strength that came out, and knowing what to do. And then when it all kind of started to go back to normal in the physical world, and then I addressed, wait a minute, I've gone through shock. What do I do now?
Yeah.
Because there are certain things, like someone, I run a year-long group program, the highest potential program, and he posted a story of when his boiler went out. And immediately I got triggered, like, wait a minute, and it brought all that up, what it was like. So I sat down, got some paper, and I said, okay, this is what I call a blockers come up, a self-defeating unconscious pattern that got established going through that survival situation. I said, no, I am not going to be triggered and like walking on eggshells the rest of my life in fear. So I sat down and I cleared the blocker, and it turned out it was way different than what we would think. And it helped me recover a lost part of myself, the expressiveness, the buoyancy, the communication. It was really interesting. So yeah, that's kind of why it's a really important subject for me now, because of what happened last March. That, people's resilience, they're kind of getting stretched thin like a rubber band. You stretch it
Yeah.
enough times, you break. And we need access to these tools to be able to manifest that future, focus on what it is we want, whether it's our family unit, whether it's our work, or whether it's something bigger that we want to change in the world, in society.
Yeah, absolutely. And it is such a tenuous time. And there is and the energy, I always say it's almost like palpable, right? I mean, you can just
Yeah.
feel it. And so, there's two things that you said that I grabbed my piece of paper because I wanted to make sure that I wrote down to say, because, and you said it a couple times, but the tools, you used that word, you knew what to do, right? Like knowing what to do made you be able to take action. Right. So
Yeah.
even though you knew that there was some underlying, because you're very aware of yourself, that there was some underlying stuff probably going on, because you had the tools, you could do what you had to do. And then when you were done, use different tools to then address what needed to be addressed to clear out. And I love that because, I'm all about right tools. We talk about that all the time. And these are simple things. These are simple, easy things. These weren't, that you're talking about that people can, activate once they can learn how to do them. So you talked about blockers, right? And so
Yeah.
and getting rid of those blockers. I know you said something about you might not even know what they were, like something that was blocking you. And I remember I have a friend who is also a very spiritual person like yourself, very energy person, and that she couldn't understand why for years, like she was having all these stomach issues and da 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 da, da and like that didn't make any sense. And then as it turned out, she remembered, she had actually been held up at gunpoint with a gun at her stomach, right? And had never dealt with it. That thing just moved. She was in her 20s, and you just went back to work and you went, whatever happened. And so it's I love what you're doing. So can you talk just a little bit more about what you do specifically with people to help them in this area? Because people don't only know what they know.
Yeah, yeah. Well, what I noticed is that when we're inspired by something, that whether it's growing our business, or whether it's, getting healthy, or whether it's being the best, most loving partner to our husband, that becomes like a shining, vivid, guiding light. That's our why and what we're doing. And that's so important. And initially, some people may not know what they really want. They're just, I get up in the morning and I brush my teeth, I take a shower, I have breakfast, and I get to work, and then I go to, finish work, and I make dinner, and then watch a movie, and then I go to sleep, and it's repeat, 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 which is like how most of us operate. And we don't ever really give ourselves the permission to pause. What do we want in this next chapter? How can I consciously create and design something that would be maybe even better than when we were raising our children or when we were younger. We bring all of the wisdom that we have gleaned from our life experiences and our struggles and our challenges, and then we bring it to the present moment, and it's like we can create different outcomes. And so I don't know if that answered the question, but that's what I was thinking is like,
Yeah.
to be inspired by something. It's so important instead of a whip on the back. I got to do this. I got to do that. I got to do the shopping. I got to do the cooking. I got to do the quick cleaning, and that's just basic life maintenance. That is not something at the end of the day, when we're taking our last breath, we're going to say, wow, I ran a good home, right? Or I made good money. None of that. It's how did I contribute? What were the connections I made with people? Where was the love shared, the laughter, the real stuff? And that's what I love to get people to is that big, juicy, amazing intention that opens their heart and fills them with joy. And it can be very practical because that was my background as a project manager with Sun Microsystems. I did a project for Oracle and Bell South and company in England. And I very practical, very tangible. Like, let's make some physical changes here.
Yeah.
And so it's not just airy fairy. I'm going to sit on the sofa and go, that's not me. I'm not the gal.
Yeah.
I'm like, let's get it on paper. Let's
Yeah.
do it.
I always say there's totally that side of me, and then there is the practical, like give me the points, give me the step by step. But I also, and I think it's a nice molding of the two. Going on what you were saying here, because this thing, right? Manifest like a future that inspires you to find that thing that inspires you. So what surprised me was recently I was doing market research for something of myself. And I asked this question. So what is your ideal day look like? Or if you had a perfect day? And I could tell you my perfect day off the sun. I mean, I dream about it all the time. I think about it all the time. I was shocked how many women said, like, literally it was like a dead silence. And two of
Mhm.
them said, nobody's ever asked me that before. Somebody said, I've never thought of it before. One person literally could not come up with anything about what her dream day would be. My heart was like breaking. I was like, oh my gosh, like how do you not like have a dream or something to strive for? So what you're talking about, is so important for the midlife woman, because so many of us, we've just lived somebody, I don't say lived other people's lives because it was still our life, but we were the back burner of it all, right? We were the driving force of it all, but we were also the back burner, and what our real life was for. So, what you're doing, so talk to me a little bit more. I know that you've got a program and you've got some other things going on. Just tell me tell us all the good things you have going on. And I meant to share this too this whole time, and I haven't. So while you're doing that, I'm going to go off screen for a minute and you just start
Sure.
talking. All right.
Yeah. So one of the things Jill's going to share is there's a little mini manifesting course that I've created. It's a completely free course where you start to connect into those maybe deeply buried wishes, and they could be small, they could be big. And you start to prime the pumps of what it is that would bring fulfillment to you. And then you start to connect in with the things that maybe are blocking you. And there's a particular exercise that I created for my clients and I wanted to share with you, and it's how to manifest a future that inspires you and get rid of the frustration or the part of you that says it's not possible, I'm too old, I can't do it, I need support, and all of those, which people could call negative beliefs. They are, but they also have a habit associated with them. They have a way of being in the world. As soon as you have that thought, it stimulates in your unconscious mind a behavior, and you take action based on that thought. Let me give an example. Say you're self-employed and you have your perfect client reach out. They were maybe a referral and you're super excited. You can't wait to speak to them. And you are so excited. You say, I can't respond to this email right now. I've got to be in the perfect state, And so you don't respond. 2 days go by, 3 days go by, and you never reach out to that person because you're not in that perfect state. That's what I would say is a self-defeating unconscious pattern. And once you recognize, whoa, I just lost that. That was my perfect person and I just lost them. Then you track it down, but not in the way you might think of, like, when was the last time I didn't respond to an email? When was the last time I kind of contracted and said, I don't know how to do this? You don't do it that way because that's using the mind, and the mind is about 5% of our power and our energy to make changes. 95% is below the waterline, which is our body. If we think about our unconscious mind, our body is a storehouse. We've got to somehow get that in here, which means when we have actively done that, then we take action. We respond to that email, trusting we have the right words and listening to that soft little voice, that intuitive voice that says, you can do this. This is a great person for you. You've got this. And you know exactly what to say, how to be, because you're present in your body and not just a talking head from head up. And that's what I was like. And so that's something that just becoming conscious and self-aware, where you're doing things that you know are not for your highest, best interest, but they're habits. And so changing habits is part of navigating change. It could be an opportunity that's coming to you, like that email of client referral, or it could be something you know you need to change. And you don't have the capacity right now to make such a big shift. So, there are many people who've gone through some relationship challenges because of the close quarters. And maybe they're just kind of like going into their own space, their own office, and they're just not relating, not dealing, going to bed early to avoid having to spend time with the partner. What happens is that creates a lack of peace within you. Forget about what's happening to the marriage, but within you, there's this disconnect because you're not being authentic to your true desires and your feelings. So a lot of it is really just uncovering those pieces so you can stay in forward momentum. And if it's hard to figure out what you want to put on your wish list, just sit with it and pretend you're a young child and your parents said, hey, honey, it's your birthday next week. What do you want? And imagine that you're a child of the universe and the universe says, hey, honey, it's your life next week. What do you want? And just start writing from there.
Gave me chills. I love that. The universe whispering to you, like, right, what do you want? Like next week, right? And when you
Yeah.
look at it from there, I think people look at this as a big, this big, huge thing they have to do, but really it's not, right? It's just a thought. It's just a thought that leads to another thought that leads to another thought.
Yeah.
So that is awesome. That is awesome. So I don't have it up here. We're going to put it in the comments later, but I know that there was a gift that you had. Am I correct about that? That you were going to give, and there was a little bit. You had some other things that you wanted to share about some upcoming courses and things that you got. So I want you just to share your stuff. Let them know where they can connect with you, all of that good stuff. Because I want to remind you, ladies, I was looking through her presentation, and it's really awesome. And I think we're covering a lot of it here and mixed in little bits. But I want you to make sure that you go back, because in it, a lot of this information is going to be covered in terms of also where you can get these links as well. So. Okay.
Yeah, because in the presentation is actually a process. It's an exercise that you can do, which we're not going to have time to do that now. So I will take advantage of Jill's idea, record it, and then she can upload it for a resource. So my first suggestion is to go to get the little mini manifesting course, how to manifest without force or frustration. Because yes, we can get things done, ladies, but sometimes we're doing it from that pressured state. And I don't know about you, but usually what I create is it's like poopy if I'm doing that from that pressured force state versus doing it from that creative inspiration. And then, so I suggest you do that. There's an audio of me guiding you through the wish list, and then some sample chapters of a book that I wrote, Manifesting Guide for Intuitive People. Now, it's not just for people who already have intuition, but it is a way to reconnect with your intuition, because that's who you are, and deepen your trust of it. So important in this time. Like I said, when the power went out, was, I had to trust myself. I had to just follow through and know what needed to be done and then take action. The next thing is if you opt in for that free little mini course, in a couple weeks, I'm teaching a master class on navigating change and take your power back. So what that's about is that sometimes we've had events in our life where we were frozen or deeply hurt. And those moments, if we didn't find that the inner resources to speak up for what we needed, we didn't give our time and space to heal, then what happens is we've got energy that's stuck, energy that you could use for your life today to have that vitality that you had when you were 20. Well, that energy is stuck, just like what Jill was saying about the woman, her friend, who had pain in her stomach, had forgotten that she had been held at gunpoint. That's stuck energy. So that's what we're going to be talking about in, I think it's March 13th. And I'll share with Jill the registration page. It's completely free training. So that's kind of what's coming up. And but start with the wish list. Be playful, have fun. And what would happen for you if actually the universe did respond and fulfilled your wishes?
Yeah, I love that. I love all of those things you're doing, and I'm definitely going to download that. That's for sure. And a free class, what a great gift, and what a nice for all of us. Because, ladies, if you don't have a dream, what are we doing, right? All of life pressures feel 10,000 times more when you don't have like that something to at least escape to, right? To me, it's like, when life gets so weird, it's like, okay, it's going to be there. And here's like totally a little bit off subject, but not quite. But we read a book in the book club last month that's still with me, and a lot of the thoughts from it and the ideas from it. And one of this was is that we're living all these lives simultaneously. And
Mhm.
so, if you're not like, so if you're not dreaming, how do you have all these other lives that you're living simultaneously, right? So I've got my one life that, has got me off traveling the world, and I've got, all these things. And so to me, picking one of those great ones and making it the one that's, that I'm consciously living right now is important.
I
So
like that. It's like creating an imaginary experience of that event
yeah.
and then bringing it to you.
Yeah, absolutely. So I love talking with people who talk my language, for sure. Ladies, you can see what a beautiful soul Ariana is and what gifts she has to offer you all. So I definitely want to make sure that we get you all this information. We definitely are going to make sure that presentation goes up. And I just want to thank you so much for rolling with the punches here and going with the flow. And, I always say, we're here in our midlife years. If everything was perfect, then I could never get in front of you ladies, right? So I would rather share authentically, share what we've got, because it doesn't matter how the package looks. What's important is that you hear the message. And so I hope that you really heard her message, whether it was a PowerPoint or whether it was straight from the horse's mouth in front of you right there in this interview, that you really took in this sense of, manifesting a future that inspires you. And thank you so much, Ariana. I'm going to take you off. Hold on just 1 minute. I got a couple things to end here.
Thank you.
All right, hold on, ladies. There we go. Oh, you know what we didn't do? Hold on. I'm going to bring you back real quick here, Ariana, before I do this. We didn't show that video. Would that be completely out of sync at this moment right now?
Kinda.
Okay, just I saw it on the screen. I was like, you didn't bring it up. I didn't bring it up. So I was like, all right, just in case it was something that might be a wrap up at the end, then I just wanted to make sure. But if it's not, that's perfect. Okay, bye bye.
Thank you so much.
Yes. All right. So hang in there, ladies. I just want to wrap things up here for a second. All right. So I want to just let you know that thank you so much for listening in today. Thank you. I apologize for us starting a little bit late, but I know that many of you watch on the replay. So thank you for watching with us today. And to let you know, if you didn't get the emails or you didn't see in the group that I'm involved in the Fit and Healthy giveaway, it started today and it goes for the next 2 weeks. That's just all freebie gifts. I think there's like 30 plus gifts worth over about $3,000. I think the gift that you have had to donate had to be a minimum $100. So there's definitely some good things in there, and it's all free. So make sure that you go and you opt in. And then, I always like to do a little plug for myself. So first prize for most opt-ins gets something, and I'm buying for that first prize. So if you can just opt in and help me out too, that would be wonderful, and I would truly, truly appreciate that. So that is it for another Midlife Mojo Monday. We will see you back here next Monday. Actually, is it next? Yes. No, I'm here. One more. I'm trying to think today. I apologize. I'm going out of town. It's the following Monday, though. So you will definitely see me back here live next Monday, and I look forward to it. And I will see you later.